Hey, hello. So now we're gonna talk about the bent over row. So I see the bent over row as the other side of the coin of the push-up, right? The push-up pushes forward, the bent over row pushes back. That being said, they're part of different families, right? I look at the push-up as part of standing, the bent over row obviously as part of lifting. In the bent over row, you work on bringing the weight to your body before you lift it. And oftentimes in real life, we have to do that, right? But to reach for something and bring it to our body before we lift it, rather than just pick it up like a deadlift. So, what do I need to teach that? So, we need to have the plank position, because even though we are bent over, this is still the plank position, right? Head to hips, a long line between the head and the hips, and they stay together. You don't want the head in particular here to move without the hips. Normally you'll see the head go up and down, right? I'm not looking for that. I am looking for a solid control of head and hip position. Obviously, you need to do those plank development exercises I discussed in the push-up, but also you need to work on the hip hinge movements that I discussed in the deadlift video, right? So we need to be able to do the kneeling hip hinge. We need to be able to do the standing hip hinge with the forward reach or without the forward reach, back reach, right? It works. Once we can do those, and I would say once we can deadlift with a load and keep that load tight and move our hips and our head as a unit while keeping those shoulders engaged, that upper body engaged, then we can progress to bent over rows. Not before. There's no hurry. Not before. Now, so if you don't have the bent over row yet, again, we can work on deadlifts. I'm just, double kettlebell deadlift here. So that would be a good option, right? Other than our reaches. Because this is where we roll from, right? Boom. That's where you roll from. Your butt's back, your head's forward. Duh. Your head doesn't move as you pull. Your shoulders move forward and back. Just like in the push-up. They come back and catch the arm on the way back. They follow the arm on the way forward. Your head does not have to follow. You want to protract your shoulders. You want to have them roll forward without your spine reacting. Now, if you're still developing your deadlift, but want to start working on the upper body motion, there's various ways of doing it. Just like with the push-up, we can elevate the whole situation, elevate the hands. And if we have a TRX or a Smith machine, that's fairly easy. I cannot show you the TRX version because my TRX mount is in the door, and when I open the door and I can't see the video, and it's going to be a mess. But I am going to show you a band version. Right? So here, let me get a good view there. Here I can kind of get my base here, make sure my plank position is engaged, abs are tight, butt's tight, head's in position as I practice that row. Practice pulling the shoulders back as I pull my arms back, and letting the shoulders follow as I go forward without my head following. Again, my head doesn't move without my hips. My hips don't move without my head, right? I already showed you the kettlebell version, right? Forget what I'm pulling here. But obviously, we can use other tools to do it with. We can use a sandbag, right? And I would get in position through my deadlift, right? This builds off the deadlift. We'll get in position through my deadlift. The lowest deadlift I can find, obviously, because the sandbag is quite low to the ground, right? Of course, you can elevate it as I discussed in my deadlift video. But if I need to round my back a little bit to get it, this is a lightweight, that is perfectly okay. Then I come back to a neutral position, a long position, and I row. Now, bending my knees a lot can get in the way of my row, which is why I lengthen them a little bit before I start rowing. I lift my hips off the ground, which doesn't allow me to get as low, but it gets my knees off the way for that rowing motion. And just like with the push-up, if your shoulders are coming back and then up, you went too far, right? If your shoulders are going forward and your head follows, you went too far, okay? Now, lastly, obviously we use a barbell. Now, You're gonna use a barbell for rows. The bar gets in the way, right? Your knees get in the way. So again, we have to, as we pick it up and when we get in position to row, we wanna be in that hips back, head forward, long spine, hip hinge position, not squatting. Here. So we have a clear path for that bar, right? Or sandbagging, if that may be the case, but the bar hurts more when it hits you than the sandbag does. Hand position, people sometimes argue about that one, right? Or have different views. Palm up, palm down, I don't care. As long as there's a straight line between that wrist and that elbow, right? The pull is straight and your shoulders are moving like we already discussed. Now, here's how it looks. You get that bar off the floor. We are looking straight down or as parallel to the ground as we can get, and we pull it back. Again, right, back, pulling to your sternum. If you want to go wider, that's cool. Closer in, that's cool too. Again, there's a straight line between the elbow and the wrist. Shoulders are not coming over as you pull. Head's not falling as you go down. Is there anything wrong with giving it a body English to pull heavier weights? Not really. But here's my opinion on it. Do what you're trying to do. If you're trying to use a jerk of the upper body, of the legs, to get a more explosive motion, do so. If you're trying to do it strict, do so. Don't try and do strict and lose control and start jerking, right? Just like if you're trying to jerk, use your knees, use your hips. Don't just use the weak muscles of your spine. I'm trying to jerk that and get it moving fast. I am driving from my hips. And that's cool too, right? It's just different. The intention has to be where it is, right? Where you want it to be. Pick strict or full body and use that one. Don't go from one to the next. That's how I see it. There was one more point I wanted to make. It's escaping my mind right now. I'm sure I'll make more videos. What was that? I forget. Who cares? I hope this was useful in some way. I'll see you guys in some other videos.